There are a number of ways to search and highlight in Logos. We've already looked at searching and how to create filters, and in this video we will look at how to perform an inline search so we can see them in action together. We will also look at a few search options that can help us as we work in the text. Inline searching allows us to search in the biblical text with most of the same options as the other Logos searches, while allowing us to view the text with visual filters in the reverse interlinear. To start an inline search, we're going to open up our ESV Bible, and we'll go to Genesis 32. And then I am going to make it the full screen. And right now I have open Inline, Surface Manuscript, and Lemma transliterated. So at the top of the ESV tab, there is a little magnifying glass, and this is the Inline search button. If we click on the button, a new text bar shows up, and we also see some different drop-down menus. The drop-down menus, they function the same way as all the other search ones we've done in the past. We can see there's different fields we can search. We can also choose which reference range, and we can also choose Basic Bible or Morph. So for this starting search, we're going to do a Morph search. So we want to make sure we're going to do Genesis 32. I just did this and so mine's already set up, but if you don't remember, it's under New Reference Range, type in Genesis 32. And then we want to make sure we're in Logos Hebrew Morphology. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to do a morph search, and we're going to look for blue verbs. The blue verbs, if you're in Dr. Wong Lei Singh's class right now, these are the verbs that are kind of the skeleton of the Hebrew Old Testament narrative. So to do this, we're going to go and we've seen this before where you make an @ sign in the text bar, and then if you type in V or click on verb, it opens up to the different options for verbs that you can search. And we call them blue verbs, but the verbs we're looking for right now are the Weyiptol verbs. So I'll click on that and then hit enter. Now right away we can see that something happened. The text went from going in order and just keep going to now we see verse 1, verse 2, verse 3, verse 4. They all have their own lines. If we go down, we'll notice we have Genesis 9, and then it skips to Genesis 32:9, and then it skips to Genesis 32:13. The reason for that is verses 10 through 12 don't have any blue verbs. We also see with this, if we look up here, we can see the number 45. That means there's 45 of these blue verbs in Genesis 32. But what makes the inline search so useful, besides that we can just see the verb colors and the highlights of our visual filters, is that we can now look inside the search parameters using things like the reverse interlinear. So an example of this, we're in Genesis 32:1. Jacob went on his way, and the angels of God met him. Something that stood out to me when I first opened this text with the reverse interlinear was the text here. If you look at the reverse interlinear, and so that we're looking at the number for the order, it says met is 8, him is 9 and 10, the angels of God are 11 and 12. And so that's kind of unusual, because normally in Hebrew you would see verb, subject, object. So that normally it would be met the angels of God, him. An example of this is in Genesis 32:3. It says in the order, it sent the verb, Jacob, he's the subject, and then messenger, so it's 2, 3, 4. But in this instance, him, which is the object, is before the angels of God. Now, This could mean a number of things. On a base level, what it means for me is I want to start asking questions. Was the author trying to emphasize Jacob here over the angels of God? I'm not sure. I'm curious about that, and so that's something that's just a base level observation that we can do when we're in this inline search. We can also see very quickly how the blue and red interact. A thing to remember is that the red verbs, if there's no such thing as a blue negative verb, so if you see a red negative, there's a chance that it's actually a blue, and so if you were to just search the blue, you might miss that, but we might also see some different things in here. So that's something we can see with this. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to look at some other things we can do in the inline search, and these other things you can do in any type of search, but they're especially useful in the inline search. And so we're going to switch out of morphology and go back into Bible. Then I'm going to clear my text bar. I'm going to make sure I'm still in Genesis 32. And now, let's say I wanted to search just for Jacob in the text. If I type in Jacob, you'll see right away there are a number of things that show up. And the one I want to search for is Jacob, and you see there's this little person here. That means Logos has Jacob the person, and it's a son of Isaac, and then all this information about him. If I click on that, you'll see it does these little symbols on either side, but now I'm searching for Jacob the person. And if I hit enter, now every instance of Jacob is now highlighted in this kind of dark tannish color. And not just Jacob, because also we see on his, we see pronouns here. We also, there's verbs where there's the casing and tense of the verb, it's all, or the person of the verb is all tied up. And so when it says, so he called, it's so Jacob called, but he isn't supplied in the Hebrew, but Jacob is the subject, the one calling. And so this called is tagged. And so as we look down, now we can see all the instances of Jacob in the text and actually see him highlighted. There's still some things we have to learn in Hebrew to understand some of this stuff, but it's a way to start to see you can look for a character. And even more interesting, let's say I don't just want to look for Jacob. The little heading here says Jacob fears Esau. And so let's say I want to look at Jacob and Esau. What I can do is click on the text bar, make a space, type in "and" in all capital letters, and another space, and then if I type in Esau, and then find Esau the hunter, or Esau man hunter with the little person there, and if I hit enter now I've got all of the text that has Jacob and Esau in the same text, and they're both tagged in that same way. You'll see Jacob is in this tannish color. I'm really struggling with giving that color a right name, but Jacob's in this darker tan color, and then Esau's in blue. And you can also see there's instances where both highlighting colors are used. But so with this, you can start to see their direct interactions. You can see a lot of things with this. For instance, if you read through how Jacob talks about Esau throughout this chapter, when he's saying he's telling the messengers how to present him to Esau, he's very subservient in it, and it's your servant, my Lord. That you start to see these crossovers of how Jacob refers to himself and Esau together in those sentences. And it's just very interesting. So Logos is most effective when we harness things like this, when we can use these tools to really hone in our searches, and we can also use not just the searches, but we can also keep using the reverse interlinear and our highlighting, and the inline search is a great tool for this that gives us a lot of options as we work in Logos.